games, my guy?
And goes the dynamite.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
Hello, and welcome back to Games My Guy podcast, the esports podcast by fans for fans. My name is Patrick Aches Avery Kenny, and joined as always is ya boy, the Goose Kid Wonder, Ethan Doc Goose Butler. How you doing, man?
Oh, Patrick, it's been a week of things. Things are just happening all over the Overwatch league, all over all the leagues, to be quite honest. Valorant, League of Legends, everything is happening. And
Yeah.
it's a lot to take in, to be quite honest.
It's getting
watched Harry
overwhelming. So instead of watching all the stuff that you need to be watching, you're watching Harry Potter.
Sometimes I need to escape to the wizarding world. I don't agree with J.K. Rowling on a lot of things she says, but good lord, those movies are part of my childhood.
Yeah,
I will watch them till I die.
Yeah, the movies and the books kind of stand alone from the author, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what
Damn right.
movie are you on in the rewatch?
I'm on Half-Blood Prince now.
Wow. When did you start?
Friday.
Oh, okay. I was expecting like last night, and I was gonna be like, Ethan.
It's been wild, man. I haven't slept. I've just been in Hogwarts this whole time.
Vatican Dava.
You left me. I had to go to Hogwarts. I was scared.
Yes. For people watching the podcast, you may notice that I look like a tomato. That is because I went to a beach when we were supposed to film the podcast, but I got very burnt, so I'm paying penance for it.
It'll add to a nice, lovely, like a normal person look soon.
Yeah, I won't be just white. But the thing is, I don't tan, so this is just gonna peel.
White.
Yeah, this is just gonna peel off me like a chameleon, and then I'll just be white again. So it sucks. Good. But today we're talking a little bit about some Overwatch, a little Countdown Cup. And because we're recording this a little bit later, we actually got to watch the first games of week 28, which were pretty spicy. They ended actually like an hour ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so pretty good. But let's go back a week and let's talk a little bit about week 27. It was a week that I would have liked things to go a little bit differently. I mean, of course, Toronto losing to the Gladiators was not the greatest feeling in the world.
And like that too. Like that was
losing.
That was a damn near. They should have had it. Like it was so close.
Yeah, like losing in a game 5 against a team that you should be winning against is pretty tough.
Yes, and hopefully they can recover for this week, but their opponent is the San Francisco Shock, so it's not to be pessimistic, not to sound like we don't believe in them, but the Shock did just win the championship like again.
Yeah.
And without using Super Genji, I think. So like they're unstoppable. Even like they only have to play their best player on his best role.
I don't see that game, I mean, is gonna be what it is, but it's a little tough. And like from knowing what we know now with the Gladiators winning their game against the Dallas Fuel, pretty exciting to see where the Gladiators are going. They're definitely on some sort of uphill trajectory. The thing that got me really mad though in the Toronto Defiant LA Gladiators game was just we couldn't win a single control map. Like we couldn't win Lijiang Tower. We couldn't win game 5 in Nepal. We didn't even take a map. Like we didn't even take a map on those games.
No, like they seem to struggle just at certain points. And even when it gets to a point where they look like they should be winning the fight, if they get a pick or something like that, the other team always just seems to, like you said, especially on control, be able to counter and like just force our hand in those situations, even when we should have even when they should have the advantage.
It's we. You were right first time.
You're right.
Yeah.
We have been signed. We haven't announced it yet.
Yeah. All kudos to LA Gladiators. They knew exactly what we were going to try. We were going to throw a Genji at them, and they knew exactly what to do. And I mean, a lot of that has to go to the support lineup for the LA Gladiators because, you know, with Genji's diving in the back line, it's really on them to be up to snuff and face Agility's head on pretty much.
and they were able to do so by just using. Look, they had some really good plays in this game. Like the Gladiators didn't really mess around when they I'm sorry, they just
Yeah,
came to play.
they
Like
did. They
like
did.
that game was it was very exciting though. Like there was times like Toronto was actually dominant on a couple maps.
Yeah.
They held them to 1 point on Temple of Anubis. Like it was not like there was some good showings. There's a lot to look in this map. This game that you can feel proud of as a Toronto fan. You don't have to feel bad about this game. Like yeah, it feels bad to lose like that, but it wasn't a blowout. They made the Gladiators work for it, and the Gladiators like yeah maybe they should be beating them, but the Gladiators are not a bad team. Like they have really good DPS, really strong tanks, and a veteran support line. So they're not a joke team. They've had some rough go of it recently, but you can't really not take the Gladiators seriously. They're like as we saw today when the Gladiators played the Dallas Fuel, especially when they have players like Birdring on the roster, like you can't level with them. Like Birdring has the ability to just shut down a point or shut down a map completely on his own, like, which he did today. Like that first map
Yeah.
against Dallas today. When I say today, whatever day it is, they played Dallas in week 28.
The 14th.
But they he like the point was won essentially for Dallas, but then Birdring said no, killed 4 people, and his time swaddled in and won. Like it was madness. Like so you have it's not don't feel bad losing to the Gladiators. Lots of teams lose to them. Lots of teams win to them, but sometimes it just happens. You catch them in a weird week. Like DPay is a crazy guy. You never know what he's got up his sleeve.
Yeah, yeah. They're definitely on an uphill trajectory for sure. And honestly, a lot of that has to go to Birdring. Birdring looked really, really good today. And he's really looking to become a franchise player for them. And they really know how to play outside of a Genji as well. Like that's what this Dallas Fuel game happened. Like that's what that proved to me was just
They looked really good.
yeah, they just kind of know they adapted to this hero pool really, really well. And it's weird because we're going like we're not going to ban heroes next time, right? Going into next week.
Going for the playoff next week, bans will still be here.
Mhm.
But like the postseason will not have hero bans. And
Uh,
with the new patch that was just announced that carries over a large portion of the experimental
yeah,
stuff, the game's going to look very different in the playoffs. Like Orisa Sigma, it's I'll never say not going to be played because you never know how things are really going to shake out at this point. It's so early to tell. But just the way the buffs and nerfs have gone through, it's very unlikely you'll see like Orisa Sade will be the dominant meta. It could be like we're probably going to see like Winston Zarya's might be a big thing because I know in the APAD region that was huge
yeah,
and it showed a lot of success with Winston Zarya. That could be a thing, but so it's going to be interesting to see how the game looks moving forward and how this benefits teams who struggled maybe in double shield or struggled in with the Genji man. That's why I'm very
yeah,
interested to see how the next couple weeks go because without Genji, like how is Paris going to be? I thought Paris has a lot of really good players too. And like, I'm not saying Sparta was the only reason they were winning games. He was not. Like, you had Etsy popping off. Honben's one of the best offense in the league. Somehow it's taken us this long to talk about FD Dot, but
I can't believe we're like 8 minutes in and I haven't talked about him yet.
we've shamed ourselves really, and like we've apologized profusely to the French community and FD Dot for taking this long. But it's just we joked, but like that's a good team. But like Sparkle's Genji was such a big factor into why they're doing so well,
Yeah,
especially in a Genji meta. So what does Paris look like without Genji? What does other top teams maybe in the APAC region like NYXL with Hatsel? Hatsel can play a lot of different heroes, but Genji is one of his specialties.
mm-hmm.
What do they look like, especially depending on where the meta goes? It's going to be
Yeah.
super exciting to see.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. There's a lot of stuff on the experimental that went live, which is really, really exciting. Like the Roadhog adjustments might actually make him viable again.
Can
And it's
you
not and it's not
imagine?
and it's not a throw pick. Imagine that.
Imagine if the 2020 Overwatch League season is decided by who has the best Roadhog. That would be my dream because I know Punk is really good at Roadhog.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Harblu to be signed now.
I saw so many tweets about that when when the stuff went through. It's like he's here, he's arrived.
It's
Time
time.
for Harblue.
Get the long-haired Kid Wonder in. Like I can just see Philadelphia doing that, with all the Chipsa stuff, and now you get Harblu. I think
They
that'd
need
be
one
really-
more off tank, I say. They only have 2. So I
Yeah.
think they could use one more. Just you never know. Just have all their off tanks only play one hero ever.
Yeah.
And just swap them in when they need them.
The fusion become the Chengdu Hunters, where they just put all of their wealth into getting Harblue, and all he does is play Ball and Roadhog.
That's the dream.
That
we
is
need
the dream.
we need an NA Hunters.
We
'Cause
do.
I love it. I think NA's got a lot of great teams and APAC's got a lot of great teams. I think there's too much division in the community, to be honest, with the regions. I see people shitting on NA so much while talking about how much they love APAC, and
Right.
NA's guilty of doing the same. But look, man, there's great teams on both regions. We're doing exciting Overwatch from middle of the night where we are to the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not complaining. I love this. You can't complain about it. There's so much good fucking Overwatch going on right now.
Yeah, and like the best meta is we have yet to find it, right? Like the game is always going to be changing. Overwatch 2 is going to be coming out, which I think will bring a lot of buzz back to the Overwatch League. But yeah, there's a lot of news going on with Overwatch. Now that you mention it, there's some craziness that's going on. Ethan, what's going on in the world?
Oh my goodness. The news that broke Twitter, I believe, is just a couple days ago that exiled Dallas Fuel former player Decay has signed because of the new roster rules that have just been implemented that will take effect for the postseason and 2021. Decay is signed with Washington Justice.
What?
What? That was my response. Like, what? Like, you let like what?
Yeah, you posted that in our gaming like chat, and I thought it was I was like, is it April? Like, is it April Fool's? Did I miss something? Has COVID made me so not aware what month it is? But it was real.
I don't know. It's true, and I'm never going to doubt Pre, who's the general manager of the Washington Justice, ever again. I don't know if I ever did. He seems like a very nice fellow, to be honest. I've watched some interviews with him, and he seems very nice and friendly and smart. But what a fucking finesse this move was! Like you swagged Decay to your roster. He was an MVP caliber player.
Yeah.
And because although the thing is with the Justice though, DPS was their best part, and that they weren't great across the board, but DPS is where they were strong. I don't know, even that it was just Tuba and Genji
for Washington Justice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Roar's underperformed this year immensely. Janu's looked all right, I guess. He's Janu's a good main off tank. His best hero is D.Va, but he's not bad, but he just hasn't been able to shine alongside Roar.
Yeah.
Aim Gods had some good performances, but mostly on a Zen. So anytime he has to play anything else, he's a bit looser. And Arc he's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's a very good boy.
It's hard to really break down a main healer's impact, like if they're hindering or if they're actually making their team excel. But yeah, Washington, I think it's a trickle down thing. Like, they have great DPS, and they really leaned into their DPS, like getting their hero picks, like putting Tuba on Genji when the Genji meta was out. But I think you're right. Like, a lot of these players are playing characters that they're not super comfortable with. So not maining D.Va in the Overwatch League is seems to be hurting them a lot. And that's what was hurting Elevote for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
So
that made me mad though when they got rid of Elevote, because Elevote was I'll say I think Elevote was the best player on the Washington Justice this season. Corey was doing all right, but he's clear, as we know now, his heart was clearly leading to another place.
Yeah, his heart fully wasn't in it.
Stratus as well. So a lot of the bright parts of the Justice for a long time, and the reason that fans were brought into them was that DPS duo. When they left, they decided to go full Korean, which is a completely reasonable thing to do, especially when most of your remaining players are that way and your coaching staff. And they sometimes still have a Lulsish on the roster. I'm just going to point that out. They said it's because they want to help him get a visa.
Right.
But
I hear Kane. That's exciting.
Oh yes. My dog is. I think my brother's here with his motorcycle.
Oh.
And so I heard the rumblings, and then Kane's losing his mind.
That's so funny.
But enough about my adorable pooch.
Yes.
We're talking about Decay, and this is I think this is a huge thing. Maybe not for this season.
Yeah.
I think other teams, Decay is really good, but you putting all your eggs in one basket is not going to help you too much going forward into the playoffs, especially when you got teams like the Shock, the Dragons. Like you're not going to beat the Shock or the Dragons just with one
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
And like even with Shock or Dragons, Detay's really good. Is he like you know who else is really good? Like Ons, Striker, Fleta, Lip. Detay can't beat them alone
Yeah.
because he kills Striker. Ons is going to snipe him.
Yeah. The caliber of DPS players in the Overwatch League just gets higher and higher. And so, you know, if you're a middle of the range DPS player, it's getting harder and harder to get on these teams because the caliber and the training that these DPS players are putting in is just getting more and more. But the thing that like weirded me out, and the reason I thought that this whole trade was fake, was because Decay is like a benchmark starter for the Dallas Fuel. So it just didn't really make sense to me that he's being traded to a team that's out of contention.
Patrick, did you not hear?
I guess I didn't.
He was let go from the Fuel.
Oh.
Yes, it was the week before. That's why people were upset
Right.
because it was after the trade deadline.
That's right. That's right. Well, do we know why? This is fun. I'm learning with the audience.
The Fuel gave a bunch of reasons for it. Like Hasmo tweeted out a bunch of stuff like Detay wasn't willing to work with the team, practicing, but like that's all from their end. But then they also they let go of Arrow at the same time. Titati, it was a bunch of shifting moves for the Fuel, and Detay was like the catalyst for that because he just
Wow.
This is all their words. We haven't heard Detay side, and he's not said anything to slander them. And so I don't know. It just wasn't a good fit, perhaps, and that's fine. And so once that goes through, I think this is a great move for the Justice to build around for 2021. I don't know if it's going to make an impact for 2020, but they've got a player to build around now.
Yeah, that's true.
You build this team from Decay down type of deal.
Yeah, and like that's exactly what a lot of other teams have done. Like the Houston Outlaws based a lot of their decisions around Muma and Linkser at the beginning there. So I mean, it's a good mode, and it's a great way to look at building a team. Like if you have a really star DPS player and you're just finding pieces to fit around that, that's a really, really easy way to kind of look at it and look at your win conditions for it. Yeah. Well, I mean, the finals for the Countdown Cup were pretty exciting. We had Philadelphia Fusion versus San Francisco Shock. The only thing that messed me up was I thought Paris was going to be in the finals as well. I thought Paris was going to beat Philadelphia Fusion for sure.
I'm pretty sure I took Philly in that matchup, but I did not think it would be like as dominant as it ended up being, to be quite honest. Philly actually ended up kind of running away with that series.
Yeah, it was a bit of a stomp.
I didn't expect that. Because they just found out like Alarm almost single-handedly shut down Sparkle.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. It was very scary. Alarm also, oh my goodness, actually sorry, I had to bring up Sparkle and because against the Valiant game, it was just a really awesome moment where McGrady was fluxing, like he's rising in the air, and then Sparkle starts hunting him with the blade, and you just kind of see there's like McGrady's just floating slowly up, and Sparkle's just like hunting him up. He just couldn't reach him. So McGrady ended up living. But you can hear McGrady tweet out, he's like, "I've never been more scared in my life." And so
it's gotta have some Jaws vibes for him, just being chased by this crazy
just
Genji.
Like down, he's like floating up, just trying to survive. Really, just Sparkle won his head. But and then the Philly game against Shock was actually that was exciting, man. That was a really good game.
Yeah, it's nice to see like a competitive final because just with the way and like the trends that Overwatch League is going at, we're surrounded by 3-0s. So I was just really excited that it was a competitive final, and
especially
for viewership, it's really important too because if you look at like a week. What was a really lame week? I think like week 26, week 25, where it was like just a bunch of 3-0s.
Week 26.
Yeah, Vancouver, week 26 was really bad.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3-0s, bunch of 3. The rest were mostly 3-1s, except for a couple 3-2s.
Yeah,
and
that's exciting for the teams that are 3-0ing. It really kind of it kind of pushes away a lot of casual viewers who see a team win one map and they're like, oh, okay, that team's just going to win the whole set, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's not much incentive to, especially if your team's always losing 3-0.
Hmm.
Like, and just looking at the APAC region as well. Like man, Shanghai didn't drop a map on their route to the finals. There, that was
Yeah.
really dominant. And like they 3-0 NYXL and Spark. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
there's talk about like tier lists and like the APAC region goes Shanghai. There's just an empty space,
And
and
then
then there's
everyone
like,
else.
and then mostly everyone else. But it's like you could argue maybe Spark and like NYXL are kind of in that middle ground, and then Hunters are just like looping constantly throughout the whole league.
Yeah. I
They're just
feel like
they're not,
hunters are just on their own chart.
yeah, they're not even with they're not they're at a different table in the cafeteria.
Yeah. They don't do graphs, they just do gold stars.
You guys did great. Here's
Yeah.
one for
And
you.
Mang, great job. We're going to put this right up on the fridge.
Him? Oh, sweet, sweet. 'Cause he does-
Oh,
he does
fantastic.
oh,
Him-
fantastic.
He's in a hamster ball. That's perfect.
Just pops his head out. Fantastic. Wait a minute. Why did you...
Oh man, but on like San Francisco Shock winning, I would have called that, and I
Yeah.
had that as a prediction for sure. So I mean, things got shooken up. The Toronto Defiant game versus the Gladiators was kind of fun, but at the end, it always goes back to me. Freaking Shocks, man.
Oh, the Sharks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just they always seem to find a way to win, you know.
They really, even like Genji, like how many Genjis do they have on this team now? Like, look, you talk about like Rascal's actually a really good Genji, and he's I think just once he does the practice time, he showed that back when he was in Apex, and now he's
Yeah.
bringing it back now. So Rascal's shown really good. Teo's who they signed is really a pretty decent Genji. Honestly, Super's Genji's not really that much of a joke. He's actually not a bad Genji player. He's more passive than a lot of his counterparts, but he does his job well. Like, he's not going to make like maybe a massive blade play, but he's going to contribute.
Yeah.
And like it's not necessarily a meme pick all the time. It's just, and it's rude to say so because I know some people thought it was, and it made it feel disrespectful. But I think it's whatever the shot feels right for the moment. I'm not one to doubt Krusty, to be quite honest. I'm not in that position.
Yeah. And like they're the winningest team in the Overwatch League. I think Super is allowed to do whatever he'd like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and in terms of like how this season, the storyline this season has been primarily ever since like the regions were divided, has really come down to who's better, Shanghai or Shock. I'm in the Shock camp, but I'm not opposed to Shanghai winning too, because I think it could go either way. It's going to be very interesting to see if it comes to that.
Yeah.
If Shanghai or Shock comes to win, because one is bragging rights, but like these are two teams that like there's just so much that the Shanghai dominates in a certain play style, but then if you like want to play a Ryan Rush comp, I think Shock has the advantage.
Yeah.
But like it's such a coin flip with these two teams. Only reason one of the main reasons as well I like the Shock more is from a couple of my favorite players like Rascal, like Super are on the Shock. But like I'm personal bias, but like I don't think the Shanghai are bad. I think it's such a fucking coin flip, man. You can't just say one team is the other. I'm trying to say the Shock because I like them better, but I don't even know.
That would be like I think a lot of people have been thinking about that matchup, Shanghai versus the Shock. I think that would be, if not the finals for the end of this whole season, if they were playing in the same region. But I would feel the same. Like I've seen the Shanghai games. They plan very, very well. A lot of their games are based around Fleta doing some crazy Fleta stuff. But the Shock look very, very resourceful. You know, like they kind of have a little bit more leanway, and they can make plays out of basically thin air when they really have no business defending points and that kind of stuff.
You could also give the Shock the edge maybe in like the hit scan department. I'm hesitant to say. I think honestly, Lip's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And so is Flood in this department. Like and DM, they have really good players. But like the way Ons has been playing, Striker, and stuff like that, those two, like I don't even know who I don't think I would take any duo, except honestly, if we're just going like 2v2, I don't know if this hearsay say, maybe I'm just going by bias, but Shats and KSP might actually be able to handle like Striker and Ons. Like the Shats Tracer has been monstrous.
Yeah.
And KSP as well on the Widow. So that would be a 2v2 matchup. Oh, My God, like that would be bonkers to see. But I know that's a little off topic to say, but I only brought it up is because the Shock are one of the most meta-proof teams I think in the league. Like you can't whatever you throw at them, they had a couple hiccups, but so did Shanghai this year. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, whatever team gets rolling, like both teams are incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
Is where I was going.
It's true, and we, watching the Shock win the North American region time and time again, it's hard to see a team that could really beat them.
It's true. Even like it's hard to say because we don't know what they like playing against each other. Because Shanghai's done the same, but man, I don't know. I'm biased towards the Shot, so I think the Shot would do it.
Yeah.
But it would not be a stomp. Whoever wins this game, it's not going to be like a 3-0. This would be we're going to map 8 type of business.
Right. Yeah. I would agree with that too. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're gonna have a repeat of the finals on August 15th. The Shock and Philadelphia are playing each other again, so we'll see how that goes. Boston's gonna be playing Gladiators, which are you excited for that map at all?
Not even worried, man. Easy win. The Gladiators have never beaten the Boston overall prize in the entire history of the Overwatch League.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
I'm not even worried.
Wow.
Boston somehow just sucks the energy out of the Gladiators and just uses it somehow. It's almost like Birdring's playing for them,
Right.
like, in that game because I don't know what's going to happen. Look, I think I don't know, man. It's just even when Boston was struggling, they somehow just win it as the Gladiators. It doesn't really make sense, but they just do it.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be pretty interesting. And
Yes,
I mean the most like even game that I'm looking at right now is probably going to be the Vancouver Dallas game. I'm actually pretty excited to see that. See if Vancouver can maybe take a couple maps or even a win over a team that's been underperforming.
I think they can. In my write up for the weekend for the Titans, I had this is the game I had the Titans winning, and I think I had a 3-2 win though. But I think they didn't look bad against the Mayhem entirely. Like they won a map today.
Yeah.
Like map 1 was theirs dominance pretty much. Map 2 was not good for them at all, and then it just kept getting worse kind of at some points. But they still had like really good defense on good point C defense on Route 66. So there was a lot to like there, and like Shockwave and Dalton, were fucking pooing on the other team for sometimes.
Straight
and so
pooing.
I just straight pooing. It was brown and runny, but I just think I'm more comfortable taking the Titans DPS lineup in this matchup. I think because we saw a lot of fire from the field today. If they decide to play that tomorrow, like you saw what Birdring did to it, the Shockwave is going to do the same. Shockwave or Dalton will do the same.
Yeah.
And so I think the Titans have an edge here. It's going to be close, but I'm giving the Titans the edge in this game.
Yeah. Well, I would agree. Like, I think Shockwave, if you get him on a hit scan and he just has to play Duck Hunt with a Pharah, I think he wins that most of the time.
Well, he's like top 2 for, especially if he's on Widow. He is literally ranked in the top 2 for scope critical hit accuracy.
That tracks.
Like routinely at like 39-40% accuracy for every headshot.
Jeez, what
and
a
so
man!
He's literally exactly. And the reason they actually stalled them out so long on Volskaya today was because Shockwave kept getting like first pick after first pick after first pick,
Jeez.
and so Yaki was just able to like. Yaki had a bonkers game today too, where he was just like on the Echo, just swooping in and out, just fucking people's day up. But I don't know. I have a feeling because they didn't look terrible today. I think they had some poor composition choices.
Yeah.
So if they realized that, like the Reaper was bad, like why would that didn't make no?
The Reaper was bad. I didn't understand the Lucio sometimes. It was a lot.
I will admit Tartar was looking all right today, and same with Shredlock. Shredlock was dying too much at times, but his mechanics were looking solid, like which I was really lacking with him. He's been the weakest link for me, Shredlock, on the Titans most of the time. Tartar was for a bit. He started to wake up though. And so Tartar had some good plays today. Like he had some good kills. He was getting some boops and whatnot. But Dallas seems to be, like we've talked about, in a struggle. Like I think Vancouver has the DPS advantage, but Dallas has the support advantage. Then the tanks get a little funky. Like Dom's like nope. I think Domsu's better than Shredlock, but Note and KSA is a bit more of a spicy duel.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty close between Gamzu and Shredlock. Like, I wouldn't put Gamzu. He was really great first season when he was on Boston.
He was
But
pretty good with Shanghai though.
yeah, that's true. That's true. He did okay with Shanghai. I haven't really seen that level of play from him in this season.
That's fair.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But I mean, we got a bunch of other games coming up tomorrow and the day after, so we'll have to be watching that.
The full weekend.
It's a full there's so many games.
They start at 4 a.m., 4 a.m., and they take a brief break for everyone to have breakfast.
Yeah,
and then they resume
go
at
back
3
to
p.m.
sleep.
Yeah. So it's gonna be an interesting day tomorrow. Like, there's a lot of like games that could be really even. Some that are probably gonna be a stomp. Maybe. Well, no, actually, there is a chance for every game to be very close.
That's true. Yeah. Like I think that's super fair. I mean, it's not tomorrow, but that Toronto Shock game will be pretty one-sided, I think.
I love Toronto, and I'd love to see it happen. But good Lord, Shock is really good right now. Even ironically taking away Genji almost makes them better even, because like they're great at Genji even, but now you just play Striker Once or something or whatever, whoever else. Tayo maybe on the Echo if he's been practicing.
Mm-hmm.
But then even if you play Tayo on the Echo, you have Rascal. Like, what am I saying? You can't. There's too much talk. You can't say enough about the Shock.
Yeah, they just have an endless supply of talent, and they all know how to play really, really well, and they all want to win. So it's just they have such a great culture over there. But they're going to be put to the test. They're going up against Fusion, and then they're going to be going up against the Defiant. So hopefully we pull that out.
It could be an upset if it happens. Oh baby, every Toronto fan is just gonna be losing their mind.
Very true. Yeah, but that brings us to the end of our podcast. And before we leave, I just wanted to say that we did do a little bit of a rebrand. If you haven't noticed, if you go on our Twitter page or our YouTube page,
we'd like to give a shout out to the artists who did it, CC Lian and Simon Ding. We've posted links to some of their work and their websites on our Twitter, so go check them out if you're looking for graphic design needs. They are extraordinary.
Yeah, they specialize in very cute characters. At least that's what I think.
So good. They're so good.
Yeah, so be sure to go by and take a look at those. But we did do a new layout for the YouTube videos as well, so be sure to check those out. And why don't you let us know how you like them? You can email us at gamesmyguypodcast@gmail.com. And please come by and follow us on Twitter, which is run by the lovely Ethan Goose Butler.
Listen, folks, we hit a milestone today. Let me tell you. A random stranger, I don't know how, we just connected with this guy. I don't know how happened. His name's Patrick H. Avery Kenny. Co-host of this podcast.
Yeah.
He liked us on Twitter, and I think we're blowing up. That's all I'm going to say. For the first time today.
Okay. You make that sound so bad. It's not.
We started in February or January.
It's not that I didn't not like it until now. It's that I finally found the password for my old Twitter account, and I am now actively using it.
That's the spirit.
So I mean, it's nice knowing that I'm the 50th follower on our Twitter account, but it's also kind of looks bad. I
woke up to a nice notification, and I was like, wait, oh sweet, we actually did it. Wait, Patrick's following who? And then I just realized that his notification is following us. I was like, what you're in the picture.
It's bad.
Good.
But
hey,
we finally
50 now.
50
Here's
is
to our
50.
next 50.
Yeah. Now we're at the retirement age, so we'll see how that goes. with the 50 followers, we're 50 years old.
We're old men. On Twitter.
Oh man. But yeah, but thank you so much for listening to the podcast episode, and we'll see you next week.